Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's English commentary of a game that was played back in 1990. Red was Grandmaster Liu Qin, Black was Grandmaster Zhao Guorong. The commentaries were given by Master Wenqing and Grandmaster Zhang Qiang in their book, Deception and Countermeasures in the Xiangqi opening. They have graciously given me the permission to translate their work into English and allowed me to make them into videos so that I can help continue to promote Xiangqi to the English-speaking world. Now, this match is also one of my favorite matches. I was in awe when I saw the match many years ago, and I was very happy to find the commentaries for this match again. And in the book, there were many new insights and perspectives that were given that I had never ever thought could happen. So without further ado, let us look at the game. Grandmaster Liu Qin started with the central cannon. Black chose to counter with the three-step tiger because Red refused to develop his right chariot as a foul chariot and chose to go for the seven foul horse opening. Now, Grandmaster Liu Qin is known for his preference of playing this opening as Red because it would allow for balanced development of the pieces at the expense of the development of the chariots. So, rank chariot variation, and Black Grandmaster Zhao Guorong countered very aggressively with the Cross-riverbank rank chariot. Now, this is one of the more aggressive counters for this position. Red will protect the pawn, and the opening system is thus defined. Red would use the central cannon with rank chariot and seven foul horse, or 东炮七路, 冲炮横车七路马 in Chinese, versus Black's three-step tiger with cross-riverbank rank chariot. Now, sometimes Black would might continue with h2 plus 3 or c2 equals to 5 for the deferred opposite direction cannons. Now, in the book, after Red chose to protect the elephant, this was a steadfast method of play. If he pushed p5 plus 1, Black will counter with c2 equals to 5. Now, this would be a very volatile situation. So in the match, Grandmaster Zhao Guorong was wary of what Grandmaster Liu Qin was planning to do, so he chose to consolidate his defense with a4 plus 5. And it was at this point that Grandmaster Liu Qin played a very interesting move of r1 equals to 3. He hid his chariot behind the horse. Now this was quite an awkward place for the chariot to be. There was of course an element of deception. Perhaps this match was played in 1990 when both players were still in their heyday. They will win many more championships on their own, but this was one of the classic encounters. And perhaps Grandmaster Liu Qin, who was slightly more senior than Grandmaster Zhao Guorong, he played this move trying to see if he could add some pressure, or he would add on pressure on Black. On Black, somewhat similar to a scare tactic. And Grandmaster Zhao Guorong, after some deliberation, countered with c2 equals to c2 plus 4, which was a very brilliant move. Now this would target Black would be prepared to play c2 equals to 7 to attack this flank. Black did not shiver in fright and chose to counter very aggressively. Now this position might seem awkward, but it was very complicated. It would not be a good idea for Black to play e3 plus 5 at this point, which might seem to be a natural move to make, because if e3 plus 5 were played, Black would fall into Red's trap. Black would immediately choose to sacrifice his pawn, and this would force the Black Chariot to retreat, because this will result in loss of tempo. And if he does, h3 plus 4, and Black will be ready to storm this flank, and Red would have realized his plans and gained some initiative. Now if black chose to capture the pawn, another elephant will be moved to the edge file to threaten to capture the chariot, forcing it to move advance because there will be no other intersections that were safe. And red will capture the black chariot. And after losing the black chariot, everything will be over. So that is why e3+5 cannot be played no matter how naturally looking it might be. Neither would retreating the chariot be a good idea, because if he did, red would simply advance his horse to the riverbank. And in this opening system, if red were allowed to move his horse to attack, red would usually have a significant advantage, and his position would grow from strength to strength. Now, since black was prepared to capture the pawn, red countered with b5+1, and black chose to consolidate his central file with h2+3 for the screen horse defense, the screen horses. Now, in this situation, as can be seen, black was played. The space that black could maneuver his materials was limited. So at this point, red decided to play r9+1. This was one of the better moves in this current situation. Now, it would not be a good idea to try to play r3 equals to 6, because this would mean that red would have lost move in momentum. Because if he did, black would simply play r8+1 and threaten to capture the pawn. If the chariot moved, red would still capture the pawn, threatening to deliver a check and capture the red chariot. And there will be many other possibilities that could happen in the board. So back to the match. Black consolidated his defense again with e3+5, and this will allow black to play r1 equals to 4 to command this very important intersection. Now at this point in time, since red had already commanded this line, black decided to capture the edge pawn, which was a very brilliant move. Doing so would allow black to develop his right chariot as r1 equals to 2 and attack this very vulnerable looking left flank. And with c2 equals to 9, red could be prepared to attack the bot corner and start his attack on the flank. And because the cannon was at this point, red would have qualms if he wanted to push either of the horses to the central file to continue his attack on the central file. So this would also indirectly slower the pace of red's attack along the central file. This was a very straightforward but very effective move. So red decided to trade material. Again, the cannon would still control these two lines and also be prepared to attack the bottom rank. Red starts to try to form some offensive, preparing to play p5+1 to attack. And black simply went for the attack. Red had to consolidate his defense, and black was ready to capture the elephant and start a series of discovered checks to gain material. And because the chariot at this point was blocking the elephant, red was forced to protect his elephant in this manner. And black continued to develop his other chariot. And red tried to mount some offensive by advancing his chariot, and also to allow his elephant to move to the central file. But black was now ready, could sense that there was a kill in the air, and played r2+4. Now this is a very, very, very powerful and threatening move, because black's chariot and cannon had already pinned red's chariot and cannon to this file. Black would now be prepared to play r2 equals to 6 for a brilliant attack. Now, Now, in post-mortem analysis, it was suggested that red's R6+5 was not desirable because Black was simply too vicious and too fast in his attack. Instead, it was suggested that red could have fared better with R6+2 to defend and chose to adopt a wait-and-see strategy and to slow down Black's attack. Now, once Black was allowed to move his chariot to the riverbank, Red continued to consolidate his defense. So this elephant had moved earlier to the edge, returned, and now to the central file. It would not be a good idea to capture the pawn, thinking that Red could gain material because Black's attack on this flank was simply too vicious. If this were to happen, Black would immediately pounce on the chance to play R2 equals to 6. Now at this time there were two variations, A6+5 and B7+1. Now if Red captured the horse, the horse that Black sacrificed, Black could immediately sacrifice another chariot for the check, capturing and check, and Black King would be forced to retreat, and this would be in effect a trade of material, but Black would have gained an advisor and an elephant in the process, as it would still be attacking, and Red would be in serious trouble, and the game would be basically decided by this point. So that is why Red cannot capture the horse. A6+5 to consolidate the defense would be a good idea. Now, if this were done, Black would continue his attack, offering his chariot again. If the Red chariot captured the Black chariot, this would be an immediate checkmate. So how can Red protect his chariot? He will be forced to play C8 equals to 3, or -3, sorry, to retreat his cannon and use the advisor as a cannon mount. Of course, Black would trade chariots, and after trading chariots, because the two cannons were in an awkward position, Black would attack with R8-2 to try to gain back some lost material. Now, Black cannot blunder at this point with C8-1 because if he did, Red will counter-sacrifice material. Let's say if captured, Black would now threaten to capture the elephant and force Black to make a move, and this would buy Red some precious time whereby he can consolidate his defense and slow down the attack of these two pieces. So that is why R8-1 would be a mistake as compared to R8-2. And after R8-2, Red will be forced to move the cannon to safety, and R8 goes to 7 to threaten the cannon. Of course, Red would choose to trade material, but after trading material, it is very obvious that Black has the significant upper hand in this situation because the red chariot was poorly positioned, the Black horse was ready to go, and Red would have trouble trying to develop either his horse or cannon for future play. So either way, Red could also consider to play H7+6, but either way, Black would have a significant advantage. So things are looking better and better for Black. Now, Black in this situation, Black continued his attack by offering a trade of pawns. This was a very timely and powerful move. It would not be a good idea to rush his moves, as Black had already played E7+5 but had not moved the advisor. So there was no immediate threat of his mounted cannon checkmate. So Red would defend in this manner. Now, if Black tried to apply the same tactics as shown earlier in an earlier variation, let's say with R6+5, check, capture, check, and Black tries to gain material, and Red will simply offer the chariot as spade. Now if red capture it, he will lose his chariot. And once, because at this point in time, black had already sacrificed chariot, so if this chariot were lost, black would not have any more chariots left, and he would not be able to mount any threatening attack, as there would be only one cannon and perhaps one horse left. So black would have turned the tables and guaranteed a winning position. So that is why r6 plus 5, as shown in the early variation, would not work in this situation. Please compare this variation and use the timestamps given in the video to compare the variations. So what will happen if black decided to play r8 minus 4? Red will continue to consolidate his defense, capture the pawn, threatening to capture the elephant. Red will defend the cannon, protect his elephant in this manner. And even though if, let's say if red tried to, black tried to offer a trade of material, red would greatly do so and remove his biggest thorn in his side with this move. So this is why red cannot go for r6 plus 5 or r8 minus 4. And r2 equals to 6 would not be as good as what black played in the game with p3 plus 1, whereby he will take his take his time and grow from strength to strength. So red continue with r6 equals to 7, p3 plus 1, capturing the pawn and advancing the horse. Now the horse was now be able to join, was about to join in the attack. There are many possibilities. One would be to trade material, the other would be to attack, going for the elbow horse, etc. So red was still not out of the woods, he was still in heaps of trouble. c3 equals to 4, and black could move another horse to the riverbank for a full-out assault. Now, by doing so, black will be prepared to move one of the horses to force a trade of horses, and also apply even more pressure. And this is one of the possibilities that could happen. 6 plus 5, r8 minus 3. Now, at this point in time, black was forced to sacrifice his pawn to disallow the black horses to move. I say h4 plus 6 for attack. This was to buy some time for red, hoping that he'll gain a breather. Capturing the pawn, retreating the horse, and red decided to move his cannon. This will allow the cannon to retreat if need be for defense, and also control this file and block and prevent the black horse from advancing. Black advanced the horse in this manner since r4 plus 3 was not possible now. This was another very simple, powerful move. And red chose to defend. Black chose to trade material, and black advanced this cannon, preparing to link his cannons up. Red advanced his. He played very proactively, encountered with r4 plus 2. Black advanced the pawn again, and this pawn was now a major threat. The black pawn was prepared to charge mercilessly forward, preparing to do tons of damage. Seeing that it was hopeless or to defend very passively, red decided to try to come up with a counter attack with his own, with c7 plus 5 to threaten the horse. He hoped that this would slow black's attack and maybe allow himself to gain some momentum to mount an attack that could deliver a lucky shot. Black can move the horse here, whereby red captured the pawn to threaten the cannon. and then he pinned the black horse and chariot in the same file with this move. Now black advanced his pawn, and chose to defend in this manner. Now at this point in time, the pressure that black had applied was simply tremendous, and with this move, it showed that red was prepared to use his chariot to trade for two of black's major pieces at any time, to try to loosen or alleviate some of the pressure that had been applied, and hopefully he could try to go for a draw. And perhaps black felt that victory was in sight, and he slowed the pace of his move. Now this move would seem to be okay, but black would try to gain the material superiority, so going to the end game to ensure a very winning position, because now black had 3 pawns and red had only 1 pawn left. But red was not going to go down that easy. He played out G7 equals to 9 to threaten the chariot, forcing the chariot away. And slowly, piece by piece, red started to mount a comeback. Now the 2 red pieces had pinned black's 3 pieces, and the black chariot was free, but now the black pawns were ready to charge across the river. Now this move was played out of desperation, but we'll see the effects the way it changed the game. Now perhaps black was worried that red would capture the pawn, so he played p1 plus 1. Now this is a very controversial move, and perhaps the marked the turning point in the game. That this move was simply too ineffective and laid back. Now instead, it would be advised for black to simply go ahead with his attack with p5 plus 1. Now black would threaten to capture the elephant. Red would play this, and black will now be prepared for the final assault. So at this point, black will simply play c7 r7 equals to 6, threatening to checkmate, and red will be in all sorts of trouble. So now at this point in time, perhaps normal people would think that the game was practically decided, and it was about to go over. But at this point of time, red had a moment of epiphany, and he advanced his chariot to the enemy's third rank. This was a very deadly and sneaky move. If black were able to see through red's intentions behind this move, he would not have lost. Now this was a very powerful move, as you will see very soon. Now at this point, after protecting his pawn, black advanced, captured the elephant, and as mentioned, black was now prepared to go for the checkmate. Unfortunately, black had failed to appreciate the potential implications of this chariot, and it was at this point in time, bam, red chose to advance his cannon, to sacrifice his cannon for a check. Now under usual circumstances, this would be sacrificed. Black could simply capture the cannon, but red could simply attack, check, and move his king to safety, threatening a checkmate. So that is why, once the chariot was moved here, the black king cannot move to the third rank, and now red will have turned the tables instead. So that was why black was forced to retreat his elephant. Again, another check. Now, by retreating the cannon in this manner, the elephant cannot move to the central file. And once this was done, black played the correct order of moves, sacrificing his cannon, and played another beautiful move with c6 equals to 8, disallowing the elephant to retreat, and also be prepared to go for the double cannons checkmate. So it was at this point in time, red suddenly turned the tables within the blink of an eye. Let's see, a few moments ago, the situation was like that, and black tried to go for the final kill with this move, thinking that maybe red was about to resign, but this was when, bam. So on the 35th, red's 35th ply, just within the span of 3 moves, tables were turned, and red gained victory instead. So this was one of the most exciting matches that I saw many years ago, and I'm very happy to share this commentary with you. So a short recap. Red started with the central cannon with 7-file horse and rank chariot variation. Black countered with the left 3-step tiger with cross-riverbank chariot variation. So far so good. And for red 7-ply, he decided to play something awkward with r1 equals to 3. Black countered correctly and accurately with c2 plus 4, forcing the pawn forward, consolidating the defense, and red was forced to develop his left chariot also as a rank chariot. And black started his offensive with c2 equals to 9, forcing a trade of material. Red tries to continue, and black would start attacking his red's right flank within the 13th ply, and because the chariot had prevented the elephants from linking up, red was forced to defend in this manner, and black started to develop his right chariot. Red played r6 plus 5, which was not a good idea. Instead, r6 plus 2 to control or protect the pawn rank would have been better. And black continued his aggressive attack, defense, and a trade of pawns to allow this horse to go to participate in the action. Capture. And black continued his very aggressive attack by moving both chariot horses to the riverbank, and red continued to defend. Red tried to slow down black's attack with a pawn sacrifice, retreating the horse, and black continued to offer to trade material. At this point in time, black will still have a significant advantage. Black was prepared to link the chariot itself for further damage. And it was at this time red decided to try to master a counter, hoping that he would be able to pull off a brilliant counter move. Red continued to defend. Black tried to ensure a winning situation by capturing the pawn, and so far so good. And red was given a chance to advance his cannon to the bot corner. This was marked the start of red's counter. Now this move was suggested to be inappropriate because the pawn, advancing the pawn, was maybe perhaps out of fear of the red chariot capturing, but this would not be possible because if the red chariot captured the edge pawn, black would get to advance his horse across the river, and this would even be an even more serious predicament for red. Nevertheless, at this point in time, red started a sneaky counter attack, which black failed to appreciate the gravity of the situation, and bam, red chose to advance his cannon for the check, sacrificing it, and red made sure that black was not given any chance of a sneak attack, sacrificed his chariot, and managed to turn the table successfully. This is one of my favorite boards by Grandmaster Qing and also Grandmaster Zhao Guorong. I hope you've enjoyed this short commentary. If you like the work that I've been doing, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.